So the last recipe that we're demonstrating, Almond Kiflis, and we just think these also are an easy thing. Need some biscuits. It takes, you'll see, 3 minutes to make. The time-consuming part is the shaping of them, which is sort of quite therapeutic. We quite like those activities where we stand around and we just stand together and chat and shape and shape and shape and roll. But you'll see to make it, it's actually quite simple. You need to use raw almonds from scratch with the skin on. So raw, natural almonds in the machine. And what I like about this recipe is that you can do the almonds, then you'll take the almonds out, and then you'll do the egg and the butter and the flour, and then put the almonds back in. So it's one bowl, no washing. It's sort of simple and quick. So I'm going to pulse the... But in your home machine, you're never going to get them as fine as bought almond meal, so don't expect them to be that fine. And it's actually quite nice to have the
texture.
I just sort of think, and I don't know if any of you feel the same way, like when you make pastry or something in a food processor, I like the idea that the butter's not at the bottom because it sort of will get stuck in the corners. So I sort of always start with the flour and then put everything else on top of it for whatever reason. So this is half the recipe. So we're going 175 grams of plain flour, half a tablespoon of vanilla sugar, and this is vanilla caster sugar because we're going to use vanilla icing sugar later. Now it doesn't have much sugar in the biscuit, which is interesting, and if you were to taste the dough before you cook it...
before you roll it.
Or whatever, yeah, yes. Before you cook it, before you roll it, which we all do a lot of. It's not very sweet at all, but you're going to roll it in vanilla icing sugar, which is where the sweetness comes from. So the butter goes in next, and the almonds. And that's it, and then same again. But I'm just going to pulse it this time, because I don't want to sort of smush it too much. Okay, so it's not going to be like when you make dough, and it's not going to form a lump in the food processor. But if you were to touch it, you can press it together and it sticks together. And so then we just put it into a bowl, and then the fun starts. And ours over the years have gotten smaller. The more you make things, you sort of get a shape that you start to like. And the girl whose recipe it is, when she made some for me maybe a year ago, they were huge. And she brought them, I went, God, we've sort of morphed it into our own. And I think everybody does that with recipes, which I quite like. So it's just a matter of getting an amount that you work out the size. I think the thumb size is about right. And just on the bench, make a log and then shape the log into a crescent. And that's it. So then we're going to bake them, I think, for about 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes.
They're in a cooler oven for 30 minutes.
And you don't want them to go brown. That's the thing.
I think from memory it's 160 instead of 180. I know it's 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's 160. Yeah. So you'll just roll them all, you'll make the crescents. And you don't want to press too hard because you do want them to be quite crumbly. I think sometimes if you squeeze it together too much, it becomes too dense and they're not as crumbly in the eating. But you've got to press them enough so that they hold their shape. So this is the vanilla icing sugar. So let's just pretend these are cooked. It's just a matter of just rolling it in it like that after it's cooked.
And you wait for them to cool down.
And there they are. There you have it.